Good morning, guys. We are finally starting to chill out on Bitcoin. It's gonna go range bound. How's it going? We got a lot of peeps on Twitter right now, or X. I wonder when people will start calling it X and not just like automatically go to think Twitter in their mind. Okay. Oscar, how's it going, man? Hey, guys. Party in the house? It's Twitter to you too? Yeah, me too. It's always Twitter/X. Like you're trying to like please everybody, but everyone's still used to calling it Twitter. Good morning. Sheet, what's up, man? Good morning, sudden dump. Yeah, we had a little bit of a drop through the point of control on the VWAP there. Good morning, Andrew. Sport saying Kyle watching you here on X. Here and on X. Oh, thanks, man. I think you might count as 2 views then. What's up? Good morning, Noah. Let's see if I can stay awake. Yeah, I'll try to be more hyper for you. But yeah, you know me, I'm not really an entertainer, I'm more just like a teacher. But yeah, so we are currently above this downtrending point of interest right here, right? And we just reached its a previous local value area high. So we're behaving the same way that we did the last time we were here so far. So we zoom in a little bit. I did a little post about this area. I had a feeling it'd be super late at night, so I just gave everyone a confluence-based post, suggesting that we're likely going to come down to this downtrending point of interest and then get a bounce. And that's basically what we got. We came down, hit the downtrending point of interest, and then we bounced. We had the we had like a little pennant right here that helped induce that drop. Some people saw it as a head and shoulders, which is completely understandable. I would see it that way too. It definitely under head and shoulders, except we kind of already went bearish. I think it was the 5 minute. Yeah, because the structure was kind of young at the time. Like right here, we pulled back. We got the higher high, generate this as our strong low. And so during this moment, we went bearish on the 5 minute. So when you see a change of character occurrence happen before the break of like a head and shoulders, it's best to try to find your way to front run the move down, because we've kind of already established to start flipping bearish, unless you're waiting for a higher time frame to do the same. And like here's when we got like the 15 minute to flip bearish. When we broke here, we got this pullback. Then we didn't get the higher high, but we got the body high. And now we're coming down to hit its measurable target, which is not very aggressive. It's a pretty small structure, but we had hit that target. And whenever you hit like a double bottom target or like a double top target, you can expect some form of like a price action to kind of go against you during that moment, because people take profits from those kind of setups, or they rebuy their asset. So if you think of traders in the spot environment, when targets are hit, and you'll know, you do back testing on this, you'll see what I'm talking about. Whenever we like hit the measurable target for like double bottoms, double tops, in any structure really, where you're given like a measurable base momentum target, you'll notice that there will be the kind of consolidation period roughly around the time where the target is hit or a reversal. It's mostly because of how the spot environment impacts the market. So people that sold rebought basically, so they can accumulate more of the asset. But yeah, as I was drawing it there, we broke down trending momentum off of I got a mosquito in here, and it's just like right in my face, and I'm trying to get it. If it comes back, it's doomed. But anyways, we got this downtrending momentum here. So when we broke the momentum, you'd want to look for the follow-up exchange character to help guide you into a safe long. We got the double bottom posture here. I don't know why I keep doing that. At the double bottom posture here, there wasn't a change of character, but we did have the confluence of bouncing off the demand zone, breaking down trending momentum, breaking the neckline of the double bottom, and getting above the VWAP here. So a lot of people could have taken an entry here, but you'd have to be mindful of the value area low potentially acting as a form of barrier. And then next barrier would be the point of control. And then lastly, you'd be targeting the value area high. And we kind of like struggled a little bit through the point of control, but eventually we broke through. And now we're rotating back down to the value area low, where we should be preparing for longs again. Now we tapped into still demand zone, but there's that mosquito again. It's going to just sit still for a second, bro. I'll get you. All right. I got it. I hand bombed it. We're doomed. All right, cool. Sorry about that, guys. All right, cool. So yeah, that's basically what led us to where we are now. We rotated to the value area high. We came back down. We lost the point of control and simultaneously lost the VWAP, and we just fell straight down to the value area low. We just mitigated a 30-minute and a 15-minute order block right here with this little demand zone as well. And so now we just kind of wait for structure to help guide us into a long so we could play this range a little bit more. So it's just, we're basically just trying to range trade this. But when this happened here, when we got this bounce and the higher high, we confirmed this point of interest as support with the break of structure. So trend traders look for this all the time when you see formations like a squeeze or anything like that, where we had the breakout. You want to see the retest and the higher high, and that helps you establish a potential trend-based move. But you gotta, of course, watch your barriers when it happens. And the primary barrier was this value area high. And you got to remember, there's a lot of liquidity along this journey, along the way up here. Like yesterday, we were talking about, I was during the trade hunting call, the liquidity that's resting above here is in the billions. We have, and most of the wave liquidity is in one spot around here, between like 111 and 111,100 and 111,320. This zone is where most of the wave liquidity is, and it's based on like people who entered shorts from here. This is like their liquidation point here. But yeah, so we could still get that rotation up. I kind of think that we're heading there. I think that if we're going to be heading towards this liquidity, we're likely going to be creating a new all-time high, like right after. But in this area, this could be used as exit liquidity, so you have to be mindful of potential reversals around this area. So if you start seeing like a double top or a head and shoulders, take it very seriously, because we don't have to claim the all-time high. But normally when we're that close, we usually claim the all-time high and create a new one. So one big warning sign is if we end up if we lose this value area, we'll lose this point of interest support, right? And then we'll have a neckline here that could potentially induce a pretty harsh correction. If we zoom out, we are in a value area range here. That's about 57 days. How old is this? 55 days. So if we have this, if we actually do perform a double top here, and we get acceptance back inside this macro value area again, we can get a full rotation down to the value area low at 102K. But of course, we have to be mindful of the barriers along the way, like the 104 to 105 point control area, the volume shelf right below it, right above it, sorry. If anything, the volume shelf, like if we come down there, it'll likely be a fast move, because like if you look at history, in these zones, we move quickly between it because of this volume gap right here. See how price action moves quickly between it most of the time. So if we lose this little node here, this point of interest, we just quickly fall down to the volume shelf right there. And then we can start seeing continuations down to the Valerie low. But yeah, that'll be our primary barrier if we do come down. If you decide to try to swing short this, because it's technically a swing trade, when you're trying to short this one, because you're going to be in a multi-day short. It's not going to be a quick short like we usually do inside of value areas, right? My value area rules work in a macro environment and in a micro, like scalping environment. So if we get that acceptance, then trade as if you're trying to target the Valerie low. But again, just like we do with the low time frame trades, treat your barriers with respect and then prepare for potential opposing conflicts against you in those areas, like a change of character and all that fun stuff. But going back to lower time frames here, what I would like to see to jump into a long is we're coming up to test the VWAP again. But what I like to see is basically like an opposing change of character here, or preferably a little bit lower. Maybe test this demand again, and then start targeting the value high all over again. But yeah, that's what I'm preparing for. If I were to draw a path in a perfect world situation, it would be like something like this, like the lower low, change character, and then jump in, target here, and be mindful of the point control along the way. We can pull, since we had this is a good time to create a new fixed range following profile based on the new price action data. So I'll pull from here to here. And then you can use the previous value area data to help you like prepare for potential concerns. Like if we end up hitting our head off of the point of control here, for example, you could prepare for the exit or the newly established value area high. But yeah, that is Bitcoin. Nothing really much else other than that. Pierre saying there's a bunch of sell walls from 111.5 to 112. Yeah, it could be either A, someone trying to protect the liquidity that's up there, or B, it's people trying to catch the knife in a short. Probably a combination of both for sure. Brian, how you doing, man? Hello, bada bings. That's funny. Excuse me, they're gonna take over Alaska in the summer. Yeah, I've got like a defense plan this year against mosquitoes. How can you tell the difference in the order book? So you can't. There's a way. There are behaviors you can expect from a market maker versus a behavior you can expect from retail. For example, you could see. Let me just load up the order books. You could see it's more clear on tools like Bookmap, where you can see the sell wall and how long it's been there for, and how often they pull their orders. On this one, you can't really see, like there's no timestamp that tells you how long it's been there for, unless you are marking it on your chart at a specific time. You can write down like on your chart exactly, like we had sell wall here, it started at X time, and sell walls from retail usually don't last very long, and buy walls don't last very long from retail, and sometimes they get scared and shaken out and they get pulled. Or you'll see a wall and it starts to climb more and more and more and more. And so like the initial wall might have started from the institution or a market maker, but then retail kind of contributed to it and started stacking it and got larger and larger. So that can kind of give you an idea, like normally institutional behavior, market maker behavior, they don't normally do NTIFs, which is like non-intentional to fills. So where is bookmap is useful? So is this? Yeah, this is where bookmap's useful. So it's you can use it for free. I recommend it to anybody. We have a lot of people in the community that use it. But this is what it kind of looks like. There is a paid version for it, but you can do quite a bit with the tool for free. But it gets pretty. They have a lot of really cool tools if you pay for it. It's up to you. I recommend if you're brand new to trading to not pay for it and just to like observe the free version and see if it's for you before jumping in on it. Same thing with TradingView. You can get a lot of stuff for free with TradingView, but those ads can get annoying. And if you want to use more indicators, it gets kind of important there. But there's some things that you don't need to rush into, especially when you're first starting. Are you drinking coffee? I got water. I got water. I don't want to dehydrate as soon as I wake up. Kyle, check the new version for the wall. It's easy to read. Yeah, it's easy to read, but I can instantly understand the barriers by looking at this. The new version, nothing against the new version. It's just a little bit more noisier, in my opinion. You could see like the depth chart in the background right here where the orb is kind of following, right? And it becomes a little bit more easier to see the points of interest from like the horizontal point of view where you're seeing these large orders in these spots. But I find it harder to calculate the barrier because you have to kind of like move your mouse exactly onto it. So I kind of like sticking to the old version. I hope they never get rid of the old version. I've been using this one for a while. I'll adapt to the new version if I'm forced to. America. July 4th. Oh yeah, tomorrow's July 4th. Oh yeah, Kelvin makes a good point. TradingView is 80% off right now. I think it's for American IPs. So if you're not in the United States, you might need to like switch your VPN to US so you can get a whole of that discount. All right. All right, guys. Well, we've gone through everything with Bitcoin. So basically what we're waiting for is just that healthy R&R positioning at our areas of confluence to prepare for longs. So just need to have that pullback, hopefully have that pullback and not just like, bounce and go straight up. I want to see us get around an area where the R&R is going to be nice to try to long to the previous value high again. Let's see. From the impulse move, it's like here. Yeah, nothing correlated there. Kyle, look at BBAI stock. I called that last month at 355. All right, man. Yeah, I can take a look. And then we can look at Sui next. We got the Pollo in the house. Yeah, we got a wild chicken in here. All right, let's take a look at BBAI. It's a stock. We haven't looked at stocks in a while. Used to writing USDT at the end of stuff. So it'll be under Big Bear AI Incorporated. It's just a jab at Brian. We'll look at it on the New York Stock Exchange here. Oh, you got this at 356 and 355. Nice job, man. Oh, geez. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I could see how that could have been. So at 355, roughly around the time we reclaimed the 50-day, 50-day EMA. And this is why It's really important to wait for confirmations, guys. If you see like a head and shoulders pattern like this, you're thinking bearish, especially along the line of the EMA here. And then, we broke to the upside. We got the support bounce off the previous high, rotate back up. So now you're in an area of confluence where you need to prepare for a drop soon. What does it have for relative strength here? Pivot to commercial use. Oh, it's doing an expansion to commercial. Nice. I don't know anything about this, but congrats, man. Mitigate some order blocks over here. Yeah, so once we get closer to these highs, I could see this rotating to like $10 level for sure. Just gotta be careful at around 811. We got that little bull flag that could provide a continuation. Lower time frames, you can see a lot more clearly. The market's still yet to open. You grab from the resistance to the last area of consolidation. It provides a target of 874. So see if the momentum allows it to break through this barrier. But once you get acceptance into it with a break of structure, then you're pretty much not guaranteed, but pretty close. You're pretty much going to be going straight to your target from there. Nice job, man. Let's go back to Bitcoin. Switch to the 5. Okay. All right, so we got a request to look at Sui. Where's the Sui request coming from? I can't see it. Well, we'll look it up. Let's see. I'll put it up from Mumu here. So let's grab Sui chart. Open. Okay. All right. So Sui is doing the kind of the same thing that Bitcoin's trying to do. So we got above 293, which is kind of a big deal. It's a strong key level. Some of the noise up here is not really necessary anymore. You can delete some of this noise. But yeah, I'll clear that up later. But basically, yeah, right now we're coming up to a area of concern right here. We're trying to get above this uptrending point of interest. We might have already be above it, honestly, because like trend lines are very easy to adjust based on time frame and all that stuff. So we're combating a key level of interest. So we got to make sure that you don't take action based on trend lines, but it does tell you like the pace of the buyers might shift soon. The pace of the sellers might shift soon as well. So if we have a break of structure here, a follow up after breaking this area, then you kind of can understand that we're now breaking this massive falling wedge posture, and the measurable base target when that occurs suggests a target of $4.17. So back all the way back up here. And get rid of this. If we zoom in, our posture is semi-similar to Bitcoin's, because it does have a little bit of relative weakness. This is being a local demand zone, similar to Bitcoin. Let's grab here. So again, you kind of want to see that rotation down so you have some kind of form of structure to allow you to enter a trade. If we come down, lose the VWAP, we could use confluence of the VWAP depending on how structure is formed for the break, and then target the value area high. But right now we're hitting our head off the local point of control. So it's a matter of waiting for the positioning, and you got yourself a decent move from here to here. But what I would try to do is exercise like holding your trade. Make sure you listen to the opposing rules, right? Have an exit plan. What needs to happen for you to want to exit? Are you just going for the target, or are you going for the hopeful continuation? So if you get an opposing change of character, I would get out. But if you get the break of structure for a continuation, then stay in and try to hold it for the more macro move, because you could front run that potential break using our local range that we've got being built right now, and to try to hold it through this chaos. All right. There's going to be some areas where you're going to have to babysit a little bit, right? Have your alarm set to your key barriers along the way. So at that time, it could be the time where you can either A, add to the position when you get that continuation structure, or B, like prepare to like exit if the if things are looking fishy, right? But of course, like that's a swing trade. So if anyone takes this trade, as we go through it, you could always ask me to give you updates on how I'm feeling, where things are likely going to go, stuff like that. But this I believe that this could be a good potential front run opportunity for anyone who's not already in an existing position from like down here, for example. If we did have like that cup and handle down here that you could have taken, but the or maybe the inverse head and shoulders here and here. But if you're late to the party, there's an opportunity coming here. Okay. If you drink coffee every day, your body adapts after a few weeks. It doesn't really dehydrate anymore. A study by a human nutrition professor went over a while back. Well, it's not really that. Like a majority of people's coffee beans come from an area where there's toxins on it. So like, as soon as you drink coffee, if you notice that you have to pee right after, the coffee you're drinking isn't good for you. And so you're basically going to the bathroom like really quickly all the time because of the toxins that are on the beans that were used to make your stuff. Even when you boil it, it doesn't come off. So it depends on where you get your stuff. But yeah, in his study, he's probably using like the healthy stuff, right? But unfortunately, majority of people don't have the healthy stuff. We got a request to look at Teao. You can look at Teao. Tips for Kyle. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. You know how to do that? I appreciate it, man. I got my first paycheck from YouTube the other day. It was like, I think I did like 500 hours of videos. I got paid $560. I guess YouTube doesn't pay very much, so I appreciate the tip, man. But it took a while to get the money released because of like I had an error with my account for the longest time. It took like 2 years to fix, apparently. So crazy. Appreciate it, man. But yeah, we got a request to look at Teao. You can take a peek. And then Matrix wants to look at XRP. Teao, we have a Teao chart, I believe. Yeah, we do. Okay. Last time we looked at was on June 16th on the 15-minute chart. What were we looking at on June 16th? It looks like it was this descending channel here. What do we have? A orange line on the chart. See what we were doing then. Oh, we were hopeful for the reversal over here last time, but we never confirmed the reversal. Delete that. And we have this long trade that did extremely well. We had a little local. This is like picture perfect, guys. Whenever you see this, where I say it all the time, but I'm always talking as if I'm, there's beginners listening in. But whenever you see like a little demand zone from an impulse move base, another impulse move, and then you get that opposing change of character, you assume that the demand zone is going to be the bottom of the range, right? But you can't just assume, you can't just limit order when we get down there. You got to wait for the opposing change of character. And we got that here, targeting the extreme highs where the liquidity ends from this descending regression trend, right? Stacking a lot of liquidity along the way. It helps clear a path for anyone who wants to try to pump the market or get out as well. And yeah, it definitely exceeded the target. It did extremely well. And now we kind of got the same similar situation. So this would be our like little demand zone here. Not the same kind of behavior of what we were talking about before when you look for demand or supply concerns, but we got to bounce off this previous value area high from this regression trend. And then this was a supply concern for us. There's a lot of confluence here. And then we hit our head off of it. We came back and we're hitting our head off of it again. We got potential behavior on Teao that could induce a reversal back down. Let's pull a new fixed range. We can delete this. We don't need it anymore. So from here to here. We're bouncing off a previous value high historical price action. But so if Bitcoin falls down here, Teao might have some more of a percentage-based drop back down to its value area low. We'll see what kind of influence Bitcoin has. This is Bitcoin's 5-minute chart, so I'm not really thinking that Teao might just go as far as dropping all the way down. But if Teao has relative weakness, it definitely will. So what you kind of want to prepare for right now, based on its positioning, we're below the VWAP. We could bounce off the value area high again, hit our head off the VWAP and the value area high, create a head and shoulders structure, and then we could fall down to the value area low and previous value area high, while being mindful of the point of control along the way. We do have this base structure here that could induce demand. So there could be residual buy orders there. There could also be people just preparing for the bounce off the point control. So this is going to be your boss that you need to beat in order to hit your target. So if we end up seeing an opposing change of character here, I would listen to the market and take at least some profits, or maybe get out entirely. But yeah, that's what we'll be looking for with Teao. We could be starting to form a squeeze. We have a flat level of support, a descending resistance. So we're basically building what's called a descending triangle. And these buy walls usually form down here, and undercuts are forming here. Like people are just constantly undercutting the order books, but here people have a strong buy wall. So what makes these formations easy to predict the break is that behavior. So if we see a large buy wall down here, and we test it and we test it and we test it, it allows you to see the strength of the buyers, and as they get weaker and weaker, unless they're recycling their orders by exiting here, then rebuying, this buy will keep getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and then eventually break to the downside. But I'm hopeful for the break to the upside for anyone who's trading this or holding it. Sorry. But that's the clear path that I'd recommend preparing for. If you end up seeing this act as support instead, we get the break structure above the value high. You could have the continuation, because at that point you would have acceptance into a previous value area here, and we get that rotation up to its value area high in this previous point control here. See, that's Teao. Still waiting on Bitcoin to hopefully give us that structure for a drop. What did I do over here? All right, what's the next request we got? XRP. Where was next? Matrix. There you are. Okay. I've heard some technical analysts say they don't like slanted head and shoulders. Well, that's because the change of character occurrence is out of whack when you see them slanted. So if you have an ascending one, that's where it gets a little like you can kind of like prepare for a potential break to the downside. Where we have a recent one, right? Yeah, this one here, the ascending one. Because on like the larger time frames, the mini time like the lower time frames, you'll probably get the change of character prior. But the larger time frames, you're looking at like way down here for the change of character, where you typically want to see like a horizontal level, because what's happening in the background when you have horizontal support with the head and shoulders is we're stacking more and more and more liquidity below us. Whereas if we have like a descending one, for example, we're taking liquidity along the way down. So our reasoning to follow through with the drop decreases, right? Because like liquidity can be used for buyers and sellers, no matter what direction it's on in the chart. So if it's below you, the majority of people would be preparing for a pump after grabbing liquidity when it's below us. And same thing when it's above us, you'd be waiting for a drop, most likely waiting for a drop. But when you are failing to create higher highs like this, it gives you you normally see a break of momentum on your chart like that. And we come down and we retest that momentum as resistance and then get a change of character occurrence. So you have more confluences preparing for shorts when you have horizontal level of support like this. Whereas here, like you got your change of character. So what kind of helpful is if you're seeing that pullback in the lower time frames, let's say here's a really good example is like if you get this happening on like the 15-minute, you can dive in on the 3-minute and see if, okay, there's an opposing change of character in the 3-minute instead of seeing this act as resistance, because you typically want to wait for a break of structure in this scenario because it can lie to you and do something like this, give you a pullback. So then you just grab a fib after you get that 3-minute opposing change of character, click, drag, and you prepare for the right shoulder to most likely act as resistance. And then you can use the same 3-minute chart to look for the opposing change of character to front run the break of the continuation for the more macro like head and shoulders. So like descending ones are a little bit more trickier for beginners. And there's more confluences on the horizontal. If you see them ascending, it's kind of similar, but the probability of us grabbing like having more stacked liquidity in ascending support level ones like this, there's more liquidity stacked here, and there's less probability that this wick down to grab some too. I don't mind trading the descending ones or the horizontal ones, but the ascending ones, I'm kind of like more prepared for it to like break to the upside sometimes because it can quickly evolve into like a flag structure, right? We broke through that point of control and the VWAP. So we're not going to get that structure that we want for the long. So here we can either prepare for shorts or prepare for the continuation if we use this value area high as support. Specifically this old value area. Is then we can start getting the liquidity up here. I don't know why that's there. Oh yeah, that's from the drawing. We'll see what we get, but so here for longs, here for shorts, if we get acceptance back inside the local value area, or here for continuation. Not much else you can prepare for. XRP request. So let's take a peek. All right, we're still fighting that area of confluence, eh? How'd this react? we grabbed. So here we were wanting to see like the break and the break of structure of continuation. We failed to get the break of structure. We got an ascending double bottom. Retest the momentum here. End up creating an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Pretty high volume compared to the last time we were here. Now we're testing that supply concern again. You can refine it a little bit more based on the current price action. But yeah. So Bitcoin, it's not Bitcoin, XRP has been stacking quite a bit of liquidity above it from this behavior of constantly getting these rejections off the supply concern, right? And as we've been stacking more and more liquidity, it could help induce a strong pump or a very strong reversal. So we got to be careful how you react to. So in scenarios like this, you want to really try your best to front run these breaks because like trading them is dangerous, especially when we're that close to a macro point of control. You could easily see like us hit our heads off of this and come down. We can look at the order, not the order books, liquidation heat map here for XRP. Kind of curious. Let's see. There we go. Now, while that's loading, let's go back to XRP chart. And I want to see the age of this, of these highs here. So we pull a measurement tool from these highs here to where we currently are. And we can look at, okay, this is 40 days that we've been accumulating and stacking potential liquidity here. So we would need to go to a time frame on the liquidation heat map chart that wraps around that 40 days. So it wouldn't be the 1 month, it would have to be the 3 month, unfortunately. And yeah, we can see that, we can verify that there is a bunch of liquidity waiting above here. So at 2.34, our horizontal line out. Change this to yellow. 2.34. Bunch of liquidity stacked there. And going back to the liquidation heat map again, there was another key area of interest at 2.38. $2.389. So these are high liquidity zones. So remember, liquidity can be used as to help buyers get in or sellers get out with the least amount of price impact, right? The least amount of slippage. So big players use high liquidity zones to help exit or enter. So we'll see if it's used as buy side. If we end up getting that break of structure for continuation, we can get that full rotation to the value area high, but please, please, please be mindful of this point control. It could slap you in the face and bring you right back down. Kind of similar situation to like Bitcoin. If we're already that close to the liquidity, like why not take it, right? So similar situation. If you see, Bitcoin use this previous value area high as support, we're very likely to get that rotation to grab that liquidity. Same kind of scenario with XRP. If we use this horizontal level of resistance as support, like this downtrending, slightly downtrending point of interest as support, we're basically probably going to see a pullback for the first one and then start grabbing the next one after that. And sometimes these can create explosive moves. But yeah, that is XRP. Let's see, go back to the chat here. I got to catch up. Lots of stuff in the chat. We can look at Link. Got a lot of people talking about coffee in the chat. Andrew, so for the 1K to $1 million challenge trading journey, will that be for a member or elite member? I don't want to miss that one. So a majority of it'll be for all members. Doesn't matter what kind of member you are, but yeah, where it's going to be mostly communicated inside the server just because of simplicity. Like we're going to be giving signals on it, but my signals are going to change a little bit to express how I'm going to be managing my risk in each individual trade. I'm already pretty, in my opinion, I'm pretty clear on how I enter my trades. Like I try to write in the way where I wish I was told how to enter when I first began, kind of thing. So I'll have the entry conditions, all that stuff. But now there's going to be like a new section below on like how I'm managing my risk for the trade. And I'm going to also have like a pre-analysis to like help people prepare for what kind of signals to expect for the day. So it kind of like help you get that like mental mindset ready. But yeah, so some of the trades will be on YouTube. Some of them will be inside the trade hunting calls, but every single one of those, whether it be on YouTube or on the trade hunting calls, will be posted in the signals area for like all members and stuff. But yeah, man. Yeah, it's gonna take a couple years. Last time it took me like, I guess it'll be about 4 years, 4 or 5 years for me to grow from like 2020 when I like I started with $26 and I grew it to like 15K, and then I lost half my account and grew it back to 15K, and then I smartened up and figured out my risk management. And then, but it took me from that 15K to the 40 Bitcoin that I have now, like basically 5 years. Roughly, well, mostly 4 years. I'm just like adding on to the total what we got now, but like going back in time, I closed my inverse perpetual trade in 2024 here. So like the Bitcoin that I have now has been ever since this moment when I closed my coin margin or inverse perpetual trade. The funding rate fees were insane if you're wondering why I closed it. We did hit the golden pocket, but the funding rate fees were like, it was costing me like $250 a day to keep the trade open. So I'm like, I didn't want to work for free with my scalping account anymore. So now I'm just holding that Bitcoin until the top signal is in. We got a little while to go before that top signal comes in. The market keeps going range bound. One thing I'm going to recommend, guys, like I highly, highly recommend this. Like, please pay attention to the like on-chain analytics if we start creating new all-time highs. Because if we do get that continuation here and we get the new all-time high, the first chart you want to see is this RUPL chart. Consistently for the past 2 ranges, I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but at like the 1.74 level, watch that level as we start going to new all-time highs, because I've got a feeling we might get exhausted again and go range bound again, and it'll just keep repeating that process. As like we go range bound, people start to assume we're topping here, right? And retail has been like running out every single time we get to these areas, as like institutions are like loading up and taking your Bitcoin basically. And on the same on-chain exposed, you can get evidence of that under the address bands balances section. Like everyone's selling their Bitcoin to institutions right now. It's nuts. I just don't want you guys to be the same guys. Like we gotta try to hold through this, because it's just, the economy is kind of forcing people out too on top of that. But I'm missing, oh yeah, we need a Chainlink. We gotta look at Chainlink here. So link What are you doing, man? We looked at this a couple days ago. This is well, this was a key level that we were watching, but it did rotate to go lower because like here we saw this downtrending momentum. Like a majority of my rules were beginning to be met, right? We have this downtrending momentum that we're waiting for it to be broken. We're approaching the value area low. And I believe because of the where that orange line is now, we are looking at this level as our change of character level. So price action must have been around here, right? And so, but price action did evolve to allow our change of character to basically be right here. I'll just delete this. So around here, it could have been your area that you prepare for your long. So we got that lower low here, generating this as our strong high area. If you weren't confident in this area, you could have waited for this level to be broken. But we came down, we retested, got the higher high for break of structure for confirmation traders that prefer that kind of structure before entering. Well, lots of confluences here. And then we end up reclaiming the valley area. We had this break of structure that was acceptance into the valley area, came down, wiped out some liquidity from that low, and then ran straight up to the valley area high, used the valley area high as support. This is this little dotted line. Whenever you see dotted lines on my chart, it represents an area where you can prepare for potential SFPs. There wasn't a legacy SFP. We kind of like closed full buys above it. Doesn't mean we can't SFP here, but we zoom out. We're approaching an area of confluence for potential rejections. We have this downtrending point of interest. We got a previous macro value area low and this local supply concern here, which we only really tapped into a little bit before in the past. So here, prepare for potential bearish price action. Unless we find support here, then expect a strong continuation, which would work in confluence fairly well with Bitcoin's run up if Bitcoin gets its new all-time high. And if we look at Chainlink in the more macro picture, getting this break would mean a very strong potential rotation back up to $30. It's just be incredible, honestly. If we look here, we got the inverse head and shoulders, the fractalization here again, the more macro one here. We could also come up, hit our head here, pull back, retest, and build a more macro one here too. So it's like fractalizing, showing you basically that there's accumulation going on. And this could cause a domino effect to eventually break this neckline for this more larger double bottom, which would give us the measurable base target of the descending channel target as well. They'll all come in confluence with each other to tell you that we're likely going to $30. So I would be preparing for, like, the best case and the worst case scenario, of course, like you always should. Don't assume that we're going to go straight up because, especially with altcoins lately, it's been a little bit hairy when it comes to trying to predict these rallies. So don't jump the gun. Like, wait for the structure to tell you that price action is going to continue up. And so either A, you'll get the bearish posture like here and get the opposing change of character. This is our current momentum that you could follow right here. Get this dashed line going on. There we go. So look for something like this and then prepare for a drop back down to at least this previous value area high at 1343. Acceptance into it, extend your target to the value area low. But if we instead either A, like we go range bound up here for a bit and then break to the upside, or we just get the break of structure for the continuation, then you just mainly just want to look for your barriers along the way. And like the main primary one that could shape structure is this one here. So we could fight this a little bit, go range bound for a bit while we fight it until eventually we continue to go forward. So I'll leave this on my chart for you guys. You got an order block there as well. Yeah, that's what we'll be praying for. And we could do the same thing we did last time where we just hit our head off the ceiling here and then come down. But either way, I'll be prepared mostly for shorts in this area, but prepare for that potential macro swing trade as well. Let's go back to Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin doing? We're getting above that. We're trying to get above that Valerie high. We can update this to at least here. So let's see if we hit our head off this. We got about a minute left on this candle. So we get a body close above this in the 5 minute, then we can start potentially seeing it rotate to the higher time frames to do the same. Okay. Still a lot of people talking about coffee. We got a request to look at near. Up only says Yonel. Okay. You like trading Teao because it makes big moves. Yeah, Teao is a good trend trader's asset. So if you like trading those or very large range bound moves. So near. Okay, let's take a look at near. We have a near chart, but I haven't looked at near in a while. April 22nd. So quite a while. Curious of how it's doing. So I know it was bleeding before. Yeah, we had broken this. I was a little bit more optimistic from this break, honestly. So like we had lost. If we zoom out, like this was an incredible like preparation for a big move. Like you'd be targeting at least this high, right? We got that. It's funny how we're just talking about these like these ascending kind of like head and shoulders kind of vibes. We lost this uptrending momentum that was holding up near for 385 days. So pretty significant level. And then we broke downtrending momentum. So the pace of the sellers finally shifted. The buyers are starting to come back in again. But then after we kind of like hit this previous supply concern here, we started just going on a downtrend for how long is that? So we're on the daily chart right now, guys. So it's a 52-day downtrend. It's insane. So near's just getting pummeled and also got a lower low, grabbing this liquidity that helped induce this pump. But right now, let's zoom in on the 4 hour. Let's see. Yeah, one thing that I learned from this cycle, and that's likely going to continue throughout time, because alts have become really oversaturated, right? There's lots of altcoins being created all the time. So I'm going to be, next cycle, even this cycle as well, I'm going to be finding those assets that you know aren't going to do well against their competitors and just focus on shorting them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many like competitors out there that are just doing things better than the other ones. Why not short the other ones? Okay. The money exits the market faster than it enters the market. So shorting those failing altcoins, I feel like it would be a good play to make easy money. We can delete this. What's it standing on right now? Staying on the previous high. Trying to reestablish. So we got this zone. Oh, my bad. Wrong tool. We got fixed range here. Delete this. Replace this one here. We delete that. This is like the measurable target for that double bottom. fixed range. So right now it's at its local value area high. You could prepare for an opposing change character that could cause reversal, but at this point, because it's a macro level that we broke past, we got to anticipate that the value area high could act as support, or even potentially the point control get that like maybe descending reach for that POC or the volume shelf here. Actually, I'll mark the volume shelf in the scenario like that because it looks like it's trying to go trend bound, right? So I'll mark your volume shelf from this fixed range to prepare for potential bounce off 220 if we pull back, right? So here could be a potential like front run to begin a large trend-based move. If we almost fully mitigate that supply risk, and our next one's way up here. We got a little one here, and like more bigger one here. Previous value area low confluence. So I'll refine that. I'll include it actually. Visual order, send it back. Okay, these are your little bosses along the way. This one's relatively weak compared to this one. There's more confluences stacked there. But basically, this is going to be your little mini boss for a stronger boss. But if we break past this one and we get acceptance into the valley area, then we could potentially get the full rotation to the valley area high while being mindful of the point control. That could induce a pullback, maybe even a break of the valley area. But yeah, if we're trying to go trend bound, try to get yourself a safe entry. What I'll be if I were to jump in on this, I would prefer the structure of basically preparing for a potential short here in hopes that we get a bounce here for the long, and then jump in on the long for the trend bound potential break of structure while being mindful of the unclaimed high at the time if this were to occur, because that would be your first barrier in your long setup. So that's near. And hopefully you got in already, maybe at this like inverse head and shoulders over here, so you don't have to worry about trying to navigate through that. But yeah, it's just a matter of just waiting for a healthy pullback before jumping in, because jumping in late will be a little scary right now, because you can just immediately start going against you. Bitcoin broke above that previous value high. So now we can delete that scenario. So now here, prepare for that potential pullback, break a structure, and continuation. Same question as Andrew. Where's Andrew's question? Good morning, Kyle. Congratulations. Thanks, man. Oh, I already answered Andrew's question, but yeah, basically we're just talking about. Oh, you were there for it. Yeah, you're at 9:32 a.m. Didn't realize how far behind I was in the chat. So we got a request for Ondo. S&P in the 15. Doesn't look like it. Oh, unless you're talking about near. There's a possibility. No, yeah. Maybe on the 90-minute or the hourly. Okay, so we had an Ondo request. What's Ondo doing? My dad started trading Ondo. So we broke this down, trading momentum. So looking a lot like near in that sense, where we had this longer term descending channel. I believe, yeah, not dot, Ondo also kind of lied to us the same way that near did, where we broke this really important like descending regression trend channel to the upside, even got the break of structure, got above the 200, expecting to prepare for that strong continuation. But was the lower time frame reversal warning off the 200 was a double top, right? Yeah. Built like this double top and started this descending regression trend again ever since. Now we're starting to break it to the upside. We have the 50-day EMA here. Let me just make this a little bit easier to see. There we go. We have our 50-day EMA right here in line with this previous value area low. We're trying to get acceptance into this value area. Let me delete some of this noise. It's really noisy. There we go. So as we break a regression trend like this, especially one that's this old, this one's like 53 days, you got to take every value area seriously along the way. There's going to be areas of higher confluence within the value area, but most of the time it's going to be above its value area high, where there could be supply concerns that could induce reversals. Right now, our biggest concern is this local point of control alongside of this supply concern alongside this 50-day EMA. So there's a decent amount of confluences here that could induce a rejection. Just be mindful of the confluences here that are stacking for a barrier. But we got acceptance into this valley area with this break of structure here. And we left this local valley area in confluence with that. So we could get that full rotation to the value area high. But yeah, this is the big boss that we need to have broken first. But if we do get above this, we also get above the point of control. We get above the 50-day EMA. So we have quite a bit of, we'll have guardians that help push the price up, right? So if you're in on existing trades, this could be a good spot that would protect your capital basically. And it'll be very, very easy for us to get to the value high once we get above this. Like super easy. It'll probably be like a fast-paced move. If you look at the volume data here from the last time we were here, we have a volume gap that we sped kind of right through until we got to the top of this shelf here. And then from here, your next area of concern would be the 200-day moving average alongside of this point of control. Seems like the EMAs are kind of in love with the points of control right now. So just be mindful of the stacking confluences there. But the technical target for regression trends like this is the top side of them. So you can start preparing for a target here. And maybe Ondo will start running up towards its highs again, but take it one little step at a time, right? Every single time you see acceptance to a value area, you can extend your target to the value area high, right? Every time it happens. But you always watch your point of control for your primary barrier within them. Okay. But yeah, looking good so far. It's trying to get that break structure for continuation. Ondo does have a lot of pairing liquidity with Bitcoin. So it does like to follow Bitcoin a bit. But when Bitcoin's quiet, Ondo has its own relative strength, sometimes relative weakness. But oh, your dad trades too. Did you teach him? So he's been teaching himself through an app, which kind of upsets me a little bit. He started taking the course recently, so he's gonna realize like those apps aren't really great for helping you trade. They just teach you like uh, candlestick patterns, like the three white knights. It's like his favorite uh, stuff like that. And three white knights, if anyone doesn't know, it's like basically when you have like three green candles that are with no wicks on them at all. It's just three momentum based candles. If they form after like a downtrend, they are they're basically like V-shaped recovery warnings that we're about to have a fast-paced move for return back up. There's just like no evidence of sellers. This is a close example to one right here. So there's no momentum, there's no wicks, and then we have one with wick. But if you delete that little spot, then you have three white knights. Really good warnings for strong moves up. There's been bullish tokenized securities news on Ondo, I think. Oh, that's nice. I need to keep up with Ondo. I hold some Ondo, but Ondo. I don't know if I'm saying it right still today, but yeah, I've seen that one before. 99. Yeah, yeah. Well, he wasn't. So here's the story. Like my dad's like really smart. Like he's really I learned a lot about like my money management from him, and like he had his own business and he sold it. So I by watching him, I kind of learned a lot about money management. I don't think he fully realized like what I did for a living. Yeah, and then when my brother started joining InvestiShare and started making like doing really well with his trading, following the course and stuff like that, that's when like my dad like opened his eyes and like realized like, oh shit, I should probably join too. Um, especially now that we're like doing a lot of tournaments with InvestiShare, like there's a lot more interest for like my family to start trading too, because you get those like really cool bonuses for winning the tournaments and stuff. And my family's really competitive, so um, yeah, pretty cool. Uh, from render to render, yeah, we can take a look at. Oh, render change the ticker. Really? They changed their ticker to their name. Uh, really? RNDR. Well, I hope that doesn't break their charts. I'm getting sick of that, but it does. But they reset their charts. Okay, no, it looked like we're good. If their charts were like reset, it would be really frustrating. I'm gonna start boycotting assets that do that. If they change their ticker and like reset their charts, I'm not gonna trade them anymore because like the historical data doesn't matter. You don't know what historical areas there are unless you have a split chart where one's showing you the old chart and one's showing you the new chart. You can use like the two chart data to help determine um, areas of interest along the way down or along the way up. Because sometimes they wipe out that historical price action like Matic did and stuff like that. It's like they're trying to hide that they just been on a massive downtrend. We've got more macro momentum here. We got evolving momentum here. We just broke and we're retesting that momentum right now. We have this little demand zone that got mitigated. We have this one that has yet to be mitigated. Send it back. Simply long. Here we go. Get our fixed range. So our macro levels. Oh, nice. So if we get above this point of control, we'll get above the, like there's a lot of battles that this thing needs to fight in order to get above 460. But if we get above 460, we'll fall into this valley right here, this volume gap. And then we'll start getting to this volume shelf right here. We will start to know some resistance, but it'd be a really fast-paced move to that area. So if we can front run this break and we get this break, then we're very likely just going to go right to like $8.50 area, right around here. So render is in a really good positioning for a potential front run for a big move soon. Right now, the structure looks a little bit bearish. Other than we did break the momentum, which is nice. But what's happening right now is we're scooping up liquidity consistently. We have yet to do it here against this supply barrier right here. Send it back. Right? And we're stacking liquidity below us. What is going on? There. Okay, sorry. But we're stacking more liquidity below us here. So this is basically a bear pennant or bear flag, right? And that's why we usually break to the downside with bear flags, because we stack more liquidity above us as we take it from above us. And we usually end up meeting a barrier concern like this to hit our head off of and induce the move to go down. And your first area of you're going to be targeting is just this low right here. You could have continuations to go down lower, but just be mindful that based on Bitcoin's positioning getting closer and closer to its all-time high and render not really climbing that quickly, I could see that unless Bitcoin soars from its all-time high to create a new one, which I don't think it'll soar very much further past like 120K if it does, its positioning for render kind of suggests that we could actually be going down soon, unfortunately. But if we end up if I'm wrong, if we get that, break a structure for a continuation and get above that 50-day, then we can start rotating up to our next barrier concern to eventually get above the 460. But its positioning right now looks more like easier to prepare for the short rather than the long right now. Unless you got in already down at any of these points, right? We got lots of confluence at these areas here. This one didn't meet, but when you're in an uptrend like this, whenever you see a pullback in the lower time frames, you can, especially like a 3-minute change of character or a 15-minute change of character, you can find your areas of concern. So if we end up getting a rejection here, you can prepare for a potential retest to this area here. We got the 4-hour order block, might get a bounce. But yeah. Let's zoom in on that. Let's draw this properly here. Then I'll zoom in on lower time frames and see. Okay, change character occurred here on the 15-minute. What's internal? Let's see. It's more like a 5-minute change of character. Looks like it's trying to give us like that V-shaped recovery, like inverse head and shoulders behavior to get us back up there. Got this awkward, ugly regression trend. This is the key level that if broken, we can go down to these lows down here. So yeah, if broken, we could probably get a bounce off that. Yeah, like based on the structural positioning, I could see it be like more of a slower climb down. With this demand zone here alongside the upturning point of interest. So I'll just mark this level too. Got 15-minute order blocks stacked in here. Uptrending point of interest, demand zone. And the measurable target for this potential more bearish head and shoulders is ascending, so it's ugly. We have to break this level to confirm it. We might not ever confirm it, right? We might just continue to go up, get that break of structure to go follow through to mitigate the supply concern that's above our heads right now. That up here is a big area of interest. This is too much. There we go. And then get this up here separate. We're going to move quickly from here to here if we break through it. There we go. All right. Bitcoin's positioning is going to help a lot with this setup, but yeah, try to front run this break. If all your rules are met for a short, then try to front run this. But yeah, if we break this, then try to get on the continuation safely with the break of structure, using the break of structure high as your stop loss guard. Look for the most recent strong high for your stop loss guard, and then start targeting down here at 312. It's easier to prepare for the continuation to the upside here if you've already gotten in for the break of this momentum here, right? When this momentum broke, when you're in this area of confluence, because like the low to the high fib levels were here. We got local demand. We got an opposing change of character. We got above the VWAP. Pretty much all in confluence with each other. This is a level that you want to have broken here for the long. And there's actually like right here too, you could have taken the double bottom. But I'll be mindful of the downtrending momentum, of course. But at least here you had the VWAP on your side, and you got a larger time frame change of character occurrence to start targeting that full rotation up. Bitcoin. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of a pullback. We grabbed maybe the added liquidity from this high, most likely. Now it's about seeing if we're going to get that. Like 2 candle pullback would be great on the 15-minute, and then a higher high would give us that continuation. But yeah, look for warning signs of if we double top here and we fail to create that higher high, or fail to create evidence of strength during that break. Sometimes you'll have like a wick grab, then a pullback, or an SFP of any sort. So we're basically in a spot right now where you want to like prepare for a potential trade soon. We have the chat. Can you trade your DOT to increase your coin count? I was trying to do that with many alts. Yeah. DOT, you want to try to reduce your average by selling at top of ranges and rebuying at the bottom of the ranges, risking to lose a small amount of your DOT. So it's kind of like inverse perpetual trading, but spot environment. You could use inverse perpetuals now on Blowfin, by the way, guys. I'm starting to move my funds from BingX to Blowfin, like my Bitcoin, so I can do inverse perpetual there. Just so everything's all in kind of like one spot. So I'm pretty excited there. Once I found that out. Okay, so all right, so DOT, yeah, DOT's been like a little butthead, eh? So we got it's like all awkward ascending resistance and ascending support level here that we started to drop. We got rejected off of it, came down, built that inverse head and shoulders behavior. This is our key level that we want to have broken for it to then start targeting the value area high. We blasted right through the value area high like it wasn't even there. And now we're looking a lot like Render, right? We're kind of like building that potential like double top, like head and shoulders. And again, with Render 2, it's also trying to build like that potential inverse continuation up. our key level is here that we need to have broken. And we have, yeah, value area high here. If we get acceptance, then awesome. Then we'll have a strong continuation down. If we don't get acceptance and we get that opposing change of character using the value area high as support, we could go range bound above this high until we eventually break this to the upside. But we're kind of at that like high, what is that yellow line from? Is that the historical support key level? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Okay. So this yellow line here is a really important level. I normally use yellow for like high liquidity zones, but once in a while you'll catch me using it for like more macro stuff. I don't know what just happened to it. I think I scared it away. So if we get back above that and we break this downtrending momentum, this could be a great front run to maybe this time we will get to the value area high, right? This will be a potential swing trade, right? Breaking this momentum. It's the same rules that like I said before, like you can trade my value area rules for lower time frame ranges, shorting the top of the value area high, longing the value area low after break of momentum, after change of character, using the VWAP on your side. Same thing could happen in a more macro setting like this, where the range is like massive, right? Like 92% in this case, from the value area low to the value area high. So here we could potentially, we want to get acceptance above this area so we can stop going to price discovery for DOT and end up potentially getting that full rotation up to here, right? But at this point, we can prepare for a potential descending to a bottom break to bring us to that value area high. We'll, of course, be mindful of the point of control along the way to get that full rotation up. But yeah, low time frames to front run that. Your goal is to try to capture as many of these as you can, right? When we're at the bottom of the value areas, before macro breaks, you want to try to get in on those longs so you can listen to any warning signs to get out near these highs. But like this one, for example, right? If you trade this long, you could try to hold through this. But if we confirm this head and shoulders, this is the only real barrier that you have left other than like, yeah, I guess the point control. It'd be better to like exit if this confirmed and then look for a re-entry around here for a long if we find support off the value area high. But if not, we get acceptance back inside the value area, we can rotate all the way back down to the value area low. Let's see. Blowfin sucks for scalping. That's not bad, man. I use it for scalping all the time. Depends on scalper, actually. Depends on what you're doing. With my strategy, it's not too bad because I have pretty decent gaps that I can trade with my strategy. But if you're trading like a burst trading strategy, then I wouldn't recommend. Well, the downside is like it's like burst trading is slowly getting like taken out. You have to mostly trade like decentralized platforms. So smash the like piece. Thanks, Albert. Appreciate that, man. See, we got the chat. You guys should be picking your exchanges based on the reserves as much as you possibly can, so your funds are safe. What I'm kind of liking right now is that there's a trend where like decentralized exchanges are like getting better and better and better for trading. So like those come with really low fees and you get to keep your funds and not really worry about as much about the reserves. In those cases, you got to mostly focus on like what's the value of the LP pools. because like they can hit you really hard with slippage if the liquidity pool value is really low, right? That's the main thing you got to worry about. And the security, of course. Always disconnect your wallet when you're done your trades. Because if they get hacked, your wallet could be at risk. All right, guys, I got to head out very soon. You hold nothing. Yeah, you became the asset then, man. If you're not holding anything and you're just a trader, then you're the asset. Your goal is to grow your account value from your trades, right? You'll have downtrends, you'll have uptrends, like right when you have those losses and your wins. But your goal is just to keep that uptrend going, right? So you're the market cap at that point that you want to see keep growing up. Do you think Trust Wallet is safe? Trust Wallet is as safe as the user who uses it, just like MetaMask. So yes, I think Trust Wallet is extremely safe. It's just a matter of the user, right? If you're connecting your wallet to stupid stuff and you're in the habit of not disconnecting your wallet from things that you use, you could definitely get your lose everything in your wallet. But if you are consistent with disconnecting, I recommend revoke.cash. If anyone who's looking for, if you don't know how to disconnect your wallet on your own using like Etherscan or Polygon Scan or Soul Scan and stuff like that, because you can disconnect your wallet manually that way. Revoke.cash allows you to scan every connection that you have, and then it'll tell you which ones are high risk and low risk. But no matter what, you should disconnect your wallet from everything. And just get into the habit to reconnect your wallet to each thing, because you can get your stuff stolen. For example, like Bog.finance, they're a lot more safer now, but back in the day, Bog.finance, they got hacked, and everyone who had their wallets connected, I think it was about 100,000 wallets also got hit with that hack too. So they were able to take funds out of people's wallets for leaving it connected to Bog.finance during that time. And that's just one of hundreds of examples, of course. So yeah, just make sure you disconnect your stuff. If Trump tweets while you're asleep, yeah, the market's doomed. Yeah. How is Solana? We can take a look at Solana. And if you're like testing things and you're not sure if it's safe or not, you don't know how to like see if something's safe or not. Basically, I'd recommend creating a whole new wallet address for testing the sketchy stuff. But yeah. So Solana, yeah, I guess last time we were looking at it was we were worried about this little supply concern here. We hit our head off of it a couple times and it came down. It even looked like we're building like a head and shoulders kind of structure, but it never confirmed. This was a low that really needed to break to confirm it. We never got that low broken. Instead, we got the change of character occurrence again right here when we got this low taken. Start an uptrend. Got some bearish divergence. See ascending here, descending here, neckline break. Now we're coming back down, potentially building a more larger like head and shoulders behavior. What makes me nervous about this potentially like breaking to the downside is just the fractalization that we're seeing, right? Where we've got the head and shoulders, we got the double top here. So if we end up building that right shoulder here, we can end up coming down. We have ascending point of interest here. We can pull a fixed range volume profile from our local price action from here to here. We can delete this. We fully mitigated that area. This was the measurable based target up here after this broke. But looks like we're starting to halt a little bit, hitting our heads off this area here. We got this downtrending point of interest here. So we have a trend-based target for Solana. I think we were talking about this yesterday too during the trade hunting call, where if we pull from this high to this low, that this is the area of concern as well. So basically, It's easier right now based on the structure to prepare for the bearish break. And that's basically the value area low area right here. So if we see this break, act as support or act as resistance, the measurable base target right now suggests that we could fall down to the bottom of this little local potential support zone here at 147.54. So if that confirms, or expecting a bounce here, we'll expect a bounce there, and then here, yeah. So we're basically playing off of a previous value area the same way we did before in the past. This value area here to here. Like this here. Yeah, I'll be on bear mode for Solana too. What's Bitcoin looking like? Yeah, maybe Bitcoin is getting ready to top here. Everything's painting the picture like it's trying to top, right? Maybe not the top, but a top where it's starting to pull down to its local value area support levels. And Ondo, alts have whenever Bitcoin bleeds a little, altcoin bleeds a lot, right? I do want to let you guys know that I have started doing research on a big list of assets. I'm trying to pick 10 assets to hold for the upcoming altcoin season. And I'm going to try to front run the altcoin season with these through like an altcoin rally break. So these are the ones I'm looking at right now. You could screenshot my screen if you'd like. I'm not saying that I'm buying any of these assets. My goal is to try to pick 1 to 3 of these, and then I'm going to move on to like another sector that I think will do well. This one's mostly focusing on RWAs around like credit, like DeFi credit and real estate. So these are the ones that kind of like stand out. There's some of them that are like super high risk, like this one, REM. It's a nano cap, so it has like $100,000 market cap. The rest of them are micro caps or small caps. So I'm just looking at stuff that I think could do well, and I'm just going to try to, out of all these, because since they're all competitors of each other, my goal is to find the one that stands out that could do better against these competitors, so I could pick that one. And then I'm going to move on to another list of another 10 assets and do that until I get a total of 10 that I actually want to buy, make a watch list out of it, because like during our $1,000 to $1 million challenge, I'm going to be, there's going to be stages where I'm going to be investing in some stuff and not just trading, right? So I'll buy and hold and monitor it on my watch list. So there'll be a whole new watch list over here based on the assets that I actually pick. Because when we have like, let's say like, we get to like, let's say we get like 100 to 200 people at $100,000 account, and we all jump in the exact same trade with the exact same stop loss, we're going to induce a lot of liquidity simultaneously together. So it would be best for us to like diversify our account into stuff to hold, into LP pools for passive income, and have an active account for like trading and stuff. It's not just be trading that's going to get us to that $1 million total. We might even do some arbitrage too, so long as the gap is big enough, of course. Yeah. Kyle, you're going to have to start throwing up a disclaimer about your order books on the videos to stop explaining. Yeah. I'm a little repetitive when it comes to re-explaining stuff, but there's always going to be that beginner that's joining in, or the first time they ever like watched the YouTube channel, that might appreciate it. Or I'll just drill it right into your guys' heads, and yeah, you'll master it. High leverage scales, tricky, but with risk management. I'm gonna be doing my full challenge on Blowfin, so you'll see that Blowfin's not that bad, guys. Can anyone lend you? So you don't have to start with 1,000. You can start with $100. You can start with anything really. You can start with 10,000. You might be able to get there before I do, right? But yeah, I would be asking people for money, man. Yeah, but if you can start with $100, so when if we got to 1 million, you'd be at 100,000, right? If you did the same exact risk management, right? If you start with like $100, you'll be at 100,000, like mathematically. Okay, guys. Well, I gotta head out. Hope the analysis here today helped you guys out. Just to recap what I'm preparing for, and I'll give you guys a signal in the Discord if it plays out. But we got a pullback. That's what we wanted here. This pullback is going to help decide whether or not we should be preparing for longs or shorts based on the upcoming behavior, right? So I'm hoping that we bounce off this area so it can act as confluence for a potential short if we get the short. I don't want us to dip down too low. So if we come up here, you can prepare for SFP activity. And maybe we'll stay here range bound a little bit longer before potentially continuing up. I'm pretty optimistic about us eventually getting up here for sure. But we could range for a little bit before that even occurs, right? We're building this like another ascending regression trend, which seems to be the theme for Bitcoin in the past few months. There's lots of these ascending channels all over the place for the past few months. So yeah, if we get that bounce, look for the SFP. This is a good spot right here to set an alarm if you are an SFP trader, and mark the highs with your wicks. And what you want to see is price action come up for an SFP, grab that liquidity and close back inside the range with the exact same candle. And then you target these lows and hope for the change of character continuation. If we instead get a full body candle close above these wicks, then I think from that point on, we just confirmed this value area as support. And then we'll run up to start grabbing this liquidity at 111,000. Remember this liquidity came from these previous highs here. Right here, right? There is sell walls protecting this, but if we have enough volume, we'll break right through them, or they'll get lifted. All right, cool, guys. So that's what I'm kind of preparing for. The SFP, hopefully, or the change character, or the full body candle close here for the continuation. I might not enter the trade for the continuation. It all depends on what kind of stop loss guard I have along the way. The R&R needs to be there. And sometimes it's better just to sit on your hands and wait for a new setup at the higher levels. But yeah, like I said before, I'll give you guys a signal if I see anything safe. All right, cool, guys. You have yourself an amazing day. Tomorrow is a holiday, so volume might start to fade a bit overnight. So just be prepared that, yeah, the US volume is where most of the majority of the volume comes from. So just prepare for a potential a holiday drag where things just start to slow down a bit. Happy 4th of July tomorrow. I'm sure you may also celebrate your new country party. That's funny. Yeah. I live right on the New York border, so I get to see the fireworks for Canada Day like we did the other night. And tomorrow we'll be able to see all the fireworks from you guys too. Free fireworks. Will you share your chart link? Which chart link? This one here? I'll post it here. The stream didn't crash, did it? All right, guys. You have a great day. I'll see you in the next one tomorrow. I did just post a schedule for my YouTube lives. I'll also post it on YouTube itself, so you guys can keep track of when I'm usually going to go live. I was a little bit late jumping in today. I've been having crappy sleep lately. I need to get back in my groove. The past week, I've had terrible sleep. All right, guys, you have an amazing day. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share to anyone who is struggling with trading that would like to be able to have their questions answered right through these lives. We have a community, so if anyone's interested in learning, your membership counts with multiple courses, trade signals, chart checking support, a huge Discord community of amazing people. So if you're trying to take the next step up and trying to like learn your trading journey, I promise you that I'll be able to help you out. All right, guys, you have an amazing day. Thanks for watching.